Have you ever felt a subtle shift in a long-standing friendship? A quiet coldness where warmth used to be, especially as the years go by. It's a tough truth to face. But sometimes, as we age and our lives diverge or evolve, people around us, even those we've known for decades, might begin to harbor unspoken resentments or even a quiet animosity. It's a painful reality when you sense that someone, for reasons you can't quite grasp, might secretly dislike you. This isn't about open conflict. It's about those hidden currents that can make you feel uneasy, unsure, or even hurt. Carl Jung, the brilliant Swiss psychiatrist and founder of analytical psychology, offered incredible insights into the human psyche. His work shines a powerful light on these hidden dynamics, helping us understand that what we see on the surface is rarely the whole story when it comes to human relationships. He understood that our inner worlds, with their complexities and unacknowledged aspects, often play out in the way we interact with others, sometimes leading to subtle forms of animosity that can be hard to pinpoint. In this video, we're going to explore 7 distinct signs, rooted in Jungian psychology, that can help you recognize when someone might secretly harbor negative feelings towards you. These insights aren't meant to make you paranoid, but rather to empower you with awareness, so you can navigate your relationships with greater clarity and protect your peace of mind. Stay with me until the very end, because I'll share an insight that might truly surprise you about where these difficult feelings often come from. Let's dive right into the first sign. And it's one that often feels unsettling because it's so indirect and undermines your spirit. This first sign is the subtle dismissal of your achievements or experiences. Imagine you've just excitedly told a friend about a wonderful new hobby you've taken up, perhaps something creative like painting, or a significant personal milestone, like finally organizing all those old family photos. Instead of genuine interest or a warm congratulations, you might get a quick, almost dismissive, "Oh, that's nice," followed by an immediate change of subject, often steering the conversation back to themselves or something entirely unrelated. Or perhaps they'll forget important details you've shared, repeatedly asking about something you've already discussed at length, not out of forgetfulness, but a quiet lack of value placed on your words or experiences. This isn't outright criticism. It's a quiet downplaying, a lack of genuine enthusiasm that feels like a cold dampening of your joy. From a Jungian perspective, this behavior can often be understood through the lens of the shadow. The shadow, in Jung's psychology, refers to the unconscious aspects of ourselves that we don't acknowledge or accept. These are the parts of us we deem negative, undesirable, or simply inconvenient, and so we push them into the unconscious. When someone consistently dismisses your achievements, it might be that your success or happiness is inadvertently triggering their own unacknowledged feelings of inadequacy, envy, or regret. They might project their own shadow, the part of them that secretly wishes they had your courage, your energy, or your freedom, onto you, and then respond to that projection with a subtle form of resentment. Your joy becomes a mirror reflecting what they feel they lack, and it's easier to subtly diminish you than to confront their own inner landscape. Think about it if someone feels secretly unfulfilled or perhaps regrets paths not taken. Seeing you flourish, especially as you both get older, can be a painful reminder of their own perceived shortcomings. They might not consciously hate you, but they hate what your happiness reflects about their own inner state. It's not about you. It's about their discomfort. They're not actively trying to hurt you, but their internal struggle spills over into this quiet, undermining behavior. It's a very common human tendency, this subtle competitive spirit, especially in long-standing relationships where unspoken comparisons have been brewing for years. They might even feel a deep, unacknowledged sorrow for themselves, and that sorrow manifests as a subtle negativity towards your light. You might feel like you're constantly having to justify your happiness or play down your good news, which is a clear sign that the dynamic is unhealthy and unsupportive. It makes you hesitant to share, building a wall of emotional distance rather than fostering connection. It's as if your triumphs are met with a quiet, "So what?" which can be incredibly disheartening. Now, flowing directly from that quiet dismissal, our second sign is the backhanded compliment, or the passive-aggressive dig. This is where their true, negative feelings begin to leak out, often disguised as humor, concern, or even a twisted form of affection. It's a veiled attack, a jab hidden behind a smile. You might hear something like, "You look great for your age." The "for your age" part is the poison in the teacup, implying that while you might look good, it's only relative to being older, not genuinely good. Or perhaps, "It's amazing you're still able to do X at your age," implying surprise that you haven't succumbed to the typical limitations of aging. Subtly pointing out your age as a negative factor, Jung's concept of the persona comes into play here. The persona is the social mask we wear, the idealized image we present to the world. When someone uses a backhanded compliment, their persona is struggling to maintain its polite facade, and their shadow, those unacceptable impulses or true feelings, is peeking through. They can't quite bring themselves to be openly hostile, but they also can't offer genuine praise or support without their underlying resentment seeping out. It's a form of expressing aggression indirectly because direct confrontation feels too risky or socially unacceptable. They might also bring up past mistakes or embarrassing moments, often framed as a joke, in front of others, saying something like, "Remember when you tried to bake that cake and it looked like a brick good times?" while laughing a little too hard. This isn't a shared moment of nostalgic humor. It's an attempt to subtly diminish you, reminding you of a time you weren't perfect, thereby subtly elevating themselves. These passive-aggressive comments are designed to chip away at your confidence and make you feel small, without them having to openly admit their negative feelings. It's a cowardly act, really, and it speaks volumes about their own internal struggles rather than your flaws. They might even offer advice that's thinly veiled criticism, like, "You really should get your hair done differently. That style just adds years to you," under the guise of trying to help, but really aiming to hurt. These subtle jabs can really chip away at your confidence, can't they? It leaves you feeling confused and hurt, unsure if you've just been complimented or insulted. It's a deeply unsettling experience because it undermines trust and makes you wary of future interactions. You start to question their sincerity, and that's a fundamental crack in any relationship. But there's more to understand about these hidden currents and how they manifest. Let's move on to another telltale sign that might surprise you. Following on from those veiled remarks, our third sign often appears as a subtle yet consistent emotional or physical distance. This isn't about someone being busy. We all have demanding lives, especially as we get older, balancing family, health, and personal pursuits. This sign manifests as a distinct pattern of withdrawal that feels personal and directed at you. They become less available, frequently canceling plans at the last minute, often with vague excuses that don't quite ring true, or they simply stop initiating contact altogether. When you do manage to get together, you might notice that they are emotionally absent. They might be distracted, checking their phone constantly, or seem uninterested in what you're saying. Their eyes might wander, or they might avoid direct eye contact, creating a palpable sense of disconnection even when you're in the same room. Physically, they might unconsciously maintain a greater distance than before, perhaps not sitting as close or avoiding a friendly touch like a pat on the arm. From a Jungian perspective, their psyche is trying to create distance from something in you that triggers their unresolved internal conflicts or discomfort. This avoidance can stem from their own shadow again, particularly if your presence somehow reminds them of a part of themselves they dislike. Or if they project their own unacknowledged negative emotions onto you, if they secretly resent or dislike you. Their unconscious mind will naturally seek to minimize contact to avoid the discomfort or the risk of their true feelings being revealed. It's a self-protective mechanism for them, but it leaves you feeling pushed away, confused, and isolated. It's not about them being genuinely busy, but rather a deliberate, albeit often unconscious, disengagement. You might find yourself always being the one to reach out, to suggest getting together, only to be met with lukewarm responses or consistent unavailability. This pattern creates a vacuum in the relationship, a slow fading away that leaves you wondering what went wrong, even though you can't put your finger on it. It's the silent treatment in its most insidious form, gradually eroding the foundation of the connection without a single word being spoken about the true issue. This quiet retreat is particularly painful because it's so hard to confront. How do you address someone consistently being too busy without sounding demanding or paranoid? It leaves you in a perpetual state of uncertainty, chipping away at your sense of worth in the relationship. Now, moving on to a sign that is truly difficult to witness and even harder to accept. Our fourth sign is when they seem to enjoy or even amplify your misfortunes. This isn't about malicious glee, but a subtle, almost imperceptible satisfaction that flickers across their face when you share a setback or difficulty. When you share a personal struggle, perhaps a health concern, a disappointment with a family member, or a financial worry, you might notice a slight gleam in their eye, a fleeting smile that quickly disappears, or a tone of voice that is just a little too eager. They might respond with a comment like, "Oh, I knew that would happen," or "I told you so," subtly implying a sense of superiority or judgment rather than empathy. Worse still, they might then spread the news of your misfortune to others, under the guise of concern or sharing updates, but with an underlying relish that feels deeply unsettling. This ties profoundly into the Jungian concept of the shadow. The shadow contains not just our undesirable traits, but also our hidden desires and unacknowledged dark impulses, including schadenfreude, the pleasure derived from another person's misfortune. When someone derives subtle satisfaction from your pain, it's rarely about you specifically. Instead, it's often a projection of their own unfulfilled desires, their own secret feelings of inadequacy, or a sense of being less than you. Your misfortune, in a twisted way, can make them feel better about themselves, temporarily alleviating their own inner discomfort or envy. It allows them to feel momentarily superior, more secure in their own lives, especially if they have been quietly competing with you or resenting your successes. It's a manifestation of an unintegrated shadow that takes dark satisfaction in another's suffering, often because it makes their own life seem brighter by comparison. It's a very painful sign to observe because it reveals a profound lack of genuine goodwill and empathy, leaving you feeling betrayed and vulnerable. It suggests that their underlying emotions towards you are far from supportive, bordering on a quiet antagonism that feeds on your difficulties. And this leads us directly to our fifth sign, which often walks hand in hand with the previous one. They constantly compare themselves to you and subtly try to one-up you. Every conversation, even if it starts innocently, eventually veers into a competition, even if it's disguised under polite chatter. You might mention a small health improvement, like sleeping better, and they immediately counter with how they've been waking up at dawn, meditating for an hour, and running a marathon before breakfast. Or you talk about a pleasant visit with a grandchild, and they launch into a detailed account of their grandchild's exceptional talents, academic achievements, or extraordinary cuteness, always aiming to make their experience sound more impressive. This behavior is profoundly about ego and insecurity, often stemming from an unintegrated aspect of their personality that Jung called a complex. A complex is an emotionally charged group of ideas or images that are repressed and operate unconsciously, often causing disproportionate reactions. In this case, it might be an inferiority complex or a deep-seated need for validation. They may feel they are perpetually in competition with you, not necessarily consciously, but at an unconscious level, driven by their own insecurities. Your life, your choices, or your perceived successes trigger their own unacknowledged complexes, causing them to constantly strive to prove their superiority. This isn't about healthy competition. It's about a relentless need to demonstrate their own worth by subtly diminishing yours. They might try to demonstrate that they are smarter, more successful, more youthful, or more independent than you, often by subtly belittling your choices or achievements. It's an exhausting dynamic because it means every interaction becomes a performance, a subtle battle for dominance, rather than a genuine exchange of ideas or feelings. You can't simply share an experience without it being met with a comparative retort. Designed to show how they are doing better, it leaves you feeling like your experiences are never enough, always falling short in their eyes, and it drains the joy out of sharing your life. These signs can be incredibly draining, can't they? It's like walking on eggshells sometimes, feeling constantly scrutinized or subtly undermined. But understanding them is the first crucial step towards protecting your peace and cultivating healthier connections. Let's delve into the final two signs. which often reveal the deepest discomfort and provide even more clarity. Moving on to our sixth sign, which speaks volumes about unspoken feelings and can be particularly frustrating to deal with. They offer unsolicited advice or criticism disguised as help. This isn't a genuine offer of support when you ask for it. It's an uninvited intrusion into your life, where they jump in to tell you what you should do or point out your perceived flaws. Often without being asked, they might say, with an air of faux concern, "You really should be more careful with your money. You know, at our age," even if they have no idea about your financial situation. Or perhaps, "You really shouldn't wear that at your age. It's just not flattering anymore." Even when it's entirely inappropriate for them to comment on your appearance. The key here is the unsolicited nature and the underlying tone, which often carries a hint of judgment or an attempt to establish superiority. From a Jungian perspective, this behavior can be a form of projection of their own perceived inadequacies or anxieties onto you. If they are secretly worried about their own finances or their own appearance as they age, it can be easier to project those anxieties onto you and then try to fix them through criticism or advice. It's a way for them to feel in control or to alleviate their own discomfort. By directing it outward onto someone else, they might also be trying to control you, or rather, trying to control their own feelings of unease or discomfort by attempting to direct your actions. This helpful criticism is a subtle way of diminishing you, of putting you in a position where you are seen as needing their guidance, thus implicitly asserting their own perceived wisdom or superiority. It's a boundary violation disguised as care, and it often leaves you feeling disrespected, patronized, and frustrated. You might find yourself constantly defending your choices or explaining yourself, which is an unnecessary burden in any relationship. This kind of interaction saps your energy and makes you dread conversations with them, because you know an unsolicited critique is always lurking just around the corner. They frame it as, "I'm just trying to help you," but the real impact is to make you feel less capable or less intelligent. And this brings us to our seventh and final sign, which can be the most painful and unambiguous indicator of secret animosity, the overt display of negativity or hostility towards your close friends or family. If someone secretly dislikes you, they often can't stand the people you love and hold dear. It's a clear manifestation of their feelings for you, projected onto those closest to you because confronting you directly is too difficult or socially unacceptable. They might make snide remarks about your adult children's life choices. Even if those choices are perfectly valid and make your children happy, they might subtly criticize your spouse's habits, their personality, or even their appearance, often under the guise of casual conversation. "Oh, your husband is always so quiet, isn't he?" they might say, with a knowing look. Or they might actively try to sow discord between you and other friends, perhaps by spreading rumors, exaggerating your words, or making passive-aggressive comments about your other friendships. This behavior is a direct reflection of their unresolved negative feelings towards you. Because they can't express their animosity directly, they redirect it towards your loved ones, knowing that this will hurt you. It's an attempt to isolate you or to undermine your support system. Jungian psychology helps us understand that these deeply personal connections, our family and closest friends, are often extensions of our own self. So, when someone attacks them, they are, in essence, attacking a part of you. But in a way that allows them to avoid direct confrontation, it demonstrates a profound lack of respect, not only for you, but for your deepest connections and values. This is a very clear and alarming sign that someone harbors significant negative feelings. It's incredibly painful to witness because it threatens the very fabric of your life and your relationships, forcing you into a position where you have to defend those you love, or distance yourself from the person causing the friction. It leaves you feeling protective, angry, and, ultimately, deeply disappointed in the person exhibiting such behavior. Now, let's tie this all back to Carl Jung's powerful insight, the underlying truth that helps make sense of these painful dynamics. The core of Jung's insight, particularly relevant here, is about projection. What we dislike, resent, or even secretly hate in others is very often an unacknowledged and unintegrated part of ourselves, our shadow. Someone who secretly harbors animosity towards you might not actually hate you as an individual. Instead, they might be projecting their own unfulfilled desires, their own insecurities, their own dark impulses, or their own unlived life onto you. Your very existence, your happiness, your perceived success, or even just your presence might trigger something in them they haven't faced or accepted within themselves. Perhaps your independence highlights their own feelings of being trapped, or your vibrant energy reflects their own weariness. It's not truly about your actions or your character, but about their internal world, their own unexamined shadow coming to light through their interactions with you. Understanding these signs isn't about becoming paranoid or mistrustful of everyone around you. It's about gaining clarity and discernment. It's about recognizing that sometimes another person's secret resentment isn't a reflection of your worth or a flaw in your character, but a distorted mirror of their own inner struggles, their own unintegrated complexities. This insight empowers you. It shifts the focus from what's wrong with me to what might be going on with them, and helps you detach from the negativity. You have the power to choose who you spend your precious time with, especially as you get older and value your peace more than ever. Your well-being, your emotional peace, and your joy are precious commodities that you have every right to protect. You deserve to be surrounded by people who uplift you, who genuinely celebrate your successes, and who offer true empathy, not subtle slights or veiled negativity. Remember, small shifts in awareness can make a profound difference in your relationships and your overall happiness. By recognizing these signs, you can choose to set healthier boundaries, to engage less with those who drain your spirit, and to invest your energy in relationships that are truly reciprocal and supportive. This self-awareness isn't about cutting people off entirely, but about making conscious choices about the quality of the connections in your life. It's about prioritizing your mental and emotional health, knowing that you are worthy of respect and genuine affection. Have you recognized any of these signs in your own life? Perhaps a situation or a person came to mind as we talked through them. Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Your insights could provide immense support and help someone else who's navigating similar situations. And if this video resonated with you, if it offered you a new perspective or a sense of validation, please give it a thumbs up. It truly helps the channel reach more people who could benefit from these insights. And don't forget to subscribe for more helpful content and discussions on living your best life at every age. Thank you for watching, and remember, embrace your true self, trust your instincts, and let your light shine. Unburdened by the shadows of others, live your best life, filled with genuine connections and unwavering self-worth.